I'm Josh Goode. I'm Chief Information Officer at Scan Health Plan. For those that don't know Scan, we're based here in Long Beach, California. We're a Medicare Advantage plan. Been in business for 45 plus years, so all here in the Long Beach community. Medicare Advantage is a form of private health insurance. And that's really been our specialty for a number of years. We originally started as a social HMO and continued to grow and diversify, especially as of recently with our new CEO coming in, Dr. Sachin Jain. We've expanded beyond California. We're now in other markets, growing nationally, expanded into other clinical ventures. So we continue to shift more into a health system versus just being a health insurance plan. Excuse me, but I've only had two jobs in my career. I worked with Accenture, SI consulting, system integration consulting, technology strategy consulting, and then I've been at Scan for a little over 9 years. Been the chief information officer the entire time at Scan. But where I started, my career started was at the University of Tennessee, and I actually started out as a pre-med student, and then I think it was I think it was my sophomore year. I started getting into those organic chemistry classes, and started looking at that, and and I always had a business background. My grandfather was a heavy influence in my life and was a big businessman, and decided to switch over into business and got into business management with a focus on information technology. And there actually is, not to divert a little bit, there's a exciting little story there where part of the trigger to that was there was a class that I took, and it's kind of an unusual class. It was an environmental business management course. And we had a project. It was over the summer, and most of the course was a project. And something that was environmental related. And we're actually working with Clayton Homes, who builds mobile homes. And they had a problem with sawdust. As they're building these mobile homes, it generates a lot of sawdust that goes to, the landfills, and we're trying to solve the problem. And I remember as part of that class, I just started thinking about it. I mean, there's got to be a way to solve it. I mean, who needs sawdust? And I found a company. It was a manufacturing company that was in the same town that created fire logs. And I literally picked up the phone, called these guys, got, through to a few people, and they're like, yeah, we would love sawdust. I mean, we need it, and we have to go buy it or what. I literally connected these two, and it solved a big business problem. I mean, I don't know where it, ultimately, landed to, but for me, that was a pivotal point in my life where, I was pre-med, thinking about, the impact I could make. And, when you're pre-med, you're really working with one individual. How do you improve their lives? And, but then I started thinking about, on the business side, I can make a bigger impact to more people. And that, surprisingly, that was the moment that I really, kind of recognized that. And I've always been a problem solver, and I like solving problems. And to me, there was also, a moment of, man, that was easy. I mean, I literally just placed a phone call, and, I solved this big problem, diverting a lot of the sawdust from going to a landfill, and helped this other company. And it was just a moment of realization or what that, set me off on this course, diverting away from, being a doctor to, business management. And then I really got into technology from there. And then, got into Accenture, and, the rest is history. But it took a series of events to make me realize, what do I really want to do? What am I really going to be excited about? And then, that changed the, trajectory, of my career, where I switched over and went after a business career. And, if I didn't have an open mind, I think I probably would have just gone down, and stayed the path, which obviously not a bad path, to become a doctor. But for me, I don't know that that would have been as fulfilling as, what I do today. Being in business, especially with, a company like Scan and the impact in my role, as being in charge of technology, the impact I can make to, lives out there. I mean, we have 280,000 members, As a doctor, it's hard to touch 280,000 members. I can make a big difference to 280,000 members based on my current role. I couldn't have had that impact had I not had that open mind and been, open to, following my passions and what really excites. So the more you can network, with people with a lot of diverse backgrounds, the richer you're going to be as an individual, the more you're going to be able to learn and know about those experiences or what. But to really, especially in today's world, I think to really be successful, especially at the executive level, you really have to be a good networker. I mean, all the way from, enriching yourself, what you need to be doing, down to recruiting. It's tough to recruit. As an executive, you can't do it all. You got to have a team. The more that you have a network you can tap into to, help source talent, it's invaluable from that regard as well. So, the other aspect on networking, I would say would be, I was fortunate, and I've got a pretty large network across the country, especially in healthcare. I was fortunate to get into a consulting job where you get exposure to a lot of people, a lot of companies, and and when I come over to CSU Long Beach and I speak at some of the classes, I always talk about if you have the opportunity to get into a consulting job, really take a hard look at it, because the exposure to different things that you get, the ability to learn these different things, and then the ability and exposure to the number of people you're going to meet is going to create a lifetime network for you, which is invaluable as almost as invaluable as the experiences you go through. It's invaluable experience. I mean, and I would recommend to really, for students to really set themselves apart, you got to do those extracurriculars. You got to do good in your classwork and your projects and things like that. But it goes with the networking and getting yourself out there and meeting people. And and I like to say, I always meet with the interns when they come in. I like to stay close to them, and I always tell them when they come in that there's not a degree on how to work in a healthcare payer. So we're giving them that experience, that exposure, to learn how a payer and how a health system works from the inside out. And I usually put them in roles where they get exposure to a lot of different things, where I'm not trying to force them down a path, but give them opportunities. I had a student, an intern time before that wanted to get into the legal field, and he was doing work with us, helping with some of our IT contract management, and I moved him into an internship with our legal team. And there's things like that where I want to open doors, give avenues to these interns. Working in business is all about solving problems. And in fact, I even talk to my executives about it, where we'll have some challenging times, complex times, and I make the joke of times are tough and we're trying to work through complex issues, and hey, if we didn't have these complex challenges or issues, we wouldn't have jobs as executives or what. So I sometimes joke about that, but it's having those problem solving skills and being able to critically and logically think through a problem and think through the implications. And you got to do it in a way. You got to do it fast, and you got to think about the overall implications. You got to think out, what are the implications of me making this decision, that's going to solve this problem. So that's one of them. I mean, I think it's just a core skill. I'm big on, and this really applies at the executive level, communication skills. You have to communicate well. You got to communicate to your teams well. You got to set a strategy. You got to be able to articulate that strategy, get your team aligned to it so that they know what they need to be doing and working on and focused on. But you also need to be able to communicate externally, and there are oral communication skills that you need to have. There are skills around communicating through presentations that I'm big on. I'm a former consultant, so we like our presentations, we like our PowerPoints, but they do play a important role in business. Business is about making decisions, solving problems. How you articulate the issue, how you're going to solve the problem, very important to being successful within the business realm. Well, I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence. We've been using it at Scan for about 2-3 years, and for us, it's really impactful in our predictive analytics. We've got a number of models that run that proactively will identify, and we call one of these models high-risk needs. And we service an older adult population. Members that are at risk for chronic conditions that they may not even know they're at risk for. We take a combination of data factors in. What artificial intelligence allows us to do, these models, we can train them instead of us writing code on, trying to think through all these millions of scenarios, without getting too detailed, but a little detailed, because I'm always fascinated by this. We'll take a large data set and we'll build models and we'll identify, okay, this member has diabetes and here's their history over the last 10 years. Here's their medicines, social history, here's their claims. We'll let the models run on that, and those models will go through all that data and they will go identify automatically what are those conditions prior to them being diagnosed with that chronic condition. What are those indicators that we could be looking out for that without artificial intelligence, we can never write the code to identify that. We may be able to write some code. We could never do that, but we're actually in the process of implementing it for our help desk and having a chat bot on our help desk. So, our users can use it for help desk instead of calling us. So very exciting though. I've had mentors throughout my career. I think they are, a critical component of the career, journey that everyone goes through. And, I was really fortunate, especially in my time at Accenture. I had some, brilliant leaders that have gone on and led some of the largest organizations in healthcare that I worked with, and that became my mentors. And even today, they remain my mentors. And then I've continued to pick up mentors, along the way. I consider, Dr. Sachin Jain, my boss, one of my mentors. I've got a number of other mentors. I've got a pretty large, network of CIOs at other healthcare payers, other health systems that I stay in touch with. I meet with on a frequent basis, and we share stories. What are we going through? How did I solve this problem? A lot of times in business, everybody's grappling with the same set of issues, and I look up to them as mentors as well as just network peers that I'm able to work through. But mentors are a critical part of anyone's career journey, and they're not always easy to find. And I talked earlier about kind of the extracurriculars, getting outside the classroom. That's where you can get exposure to some mentors. And students nowadays too have an opportunity. One I didn't have back when I was coming up, and and I think about social media, things like LinkedIn, where reach out. If you see an executive in a local company, a field you're interested in, drop them a message over LinkedIn and just say, hey, I'm interested in having a mentor. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm interested in an internship. This is, the career path I want to take. And, you're not always going to get a response, but, that one response you do get could, really alter, the course of your career. And the exciting thing about healthcare, it's complex, and it's a little bit of a misnomer out there that healthcare is not, it's slow to move and all that. It's complex and it continues to evolve. And as I look forward, we talked a little bit about AI. I think AI is going to have a tremendous impact on healthcare, as it will to other industries. I see consolidation. It's getting harder and harder for smaller regional hospitals, health systems, health plans, being able to survive. Part of it's around technology. Technology is expensive, and you're competing against the other players that have much richer assets. So I think you're going to see more consolidation, but technology is going to be at the forefront of continuing to evolve and connect the dots. We generate a lot of data across healthcare. The example I gave earlier, AI is going to really allow us to revolutionize some of the treatments that we're going to be able to do and really impact and change individuals' lives. So pretty exciting future ahead for us in healthcare.